Well, hello, my friends, and happy Sunday, and welcome to this week's edition of My Journey with Jesus. My name is Dave Little, and I am so pleased that you have tuned in to this week's devotional broadcast. I'm not a pastor, I'm not a professional speaker, I'm just a guy living in Madison, Wisconsin, and God has laid it on my heart to use my YouTube channel each week to talk about the things that I have learned by studying His Word and journeying imperfectly with Him. So thank you all for tuning in this week. We're going to take a little diversion this week. We had been talking about the Psalms, and we were preparing to do a deep dive into Psalm 110 and the significance of Melchizedek and his connections to Jesus, but something happened this week that put me off schedule. I was asked to speak at a men's breakfast yesterday morning and share some of my testimony and share some of my experiences with the career change from Epic to from primary practice to Epic in 2010, and also my experiences with putting together these devotional videos. That was a great experience, very rewarding, very humbling, and a joy to be able to do that. It did require a couple of days of preparation that set back my usual video prep for my journey with Jesus. So rather than try and pull something together at the last minute, being a couple of days behind on presentations, God has laid it on my heart to share with you all what I shared yesterday at the men's breakfast. And so I will spend a few minutes today just talking about my personal testimony and the things I shared at the breakfast yesterday, and how that has taught me some truths that have stayed with me throughout my Christian walk. I call this Forks in the Road, both because it's a fork in the road in terms of our video series, but also because it showed some forks in the road that happened in my spiritual walk over the days of my early youth. And many of you know me personally, and if you don't know me personally, you'll know that it'll be worth mentioning that I was born into a Christian family, very close-knit, very loving family. My dad was very hardworking, very committed to reading the Word and following Jesus and living out his faith, but also a very scholarly man, very intellectually engaged, and always looking for new opportunities to learn new things. My mom was very loving, very engaged, a real people person, and just really loved to get to know people and interact and engage with people at every opportunity. Both mom and dad came from broken homes in the era of the Great Depression, and so they were both committed to really emphasizing family above all else. So growing up, I was very idealistic. I wanted nothing more than to please mom and dad and make them proud, because they were so committed to us as a family. I became a Christian at an early age, and I wanted to be the perfect Christian, and I wanted everything to be just right. So at the age of 15, when I was a junior in high school, my dad approached me with the idea that he had just learned about a new medical school program that had become available in the state of Ohio, and the catch was that if you enrolled in this program coming out of high school, then you had 2 years of college, and then you went on to medical school, and your spot in medical school was guaranteed if you enrolled in the program coming out of high school. I wanted to please Dad. I wanted to accomplish things. I wanted to do things that were, significant for God's kingdom. And so at the age of, I applied to the program, got accepted, and a few weeks after my 17th birthday, I graduated from high school, and 1 week later started college and started off onto my medical career. And here you see me at the age of 23 getting my medical degree after having diligently completed my education. I was never really that passionate about being a doctor or practicing medicine. It was a virtuous thing to do. It was a godly thing to do. It made my family proud. I was pretty good at it, and so it was the life. As they say in the movies, such is the life we have chosen for ourselves. And I did find joy in teaching. So I made my focus, I put my focus on teaching in my medical career. In my early years, I joined the faculty at the medical school at Wright State University. My job was half teaching and half taking care of patients. And, I didn't mind it. I always looked at practicing medicine like one would look at eating vegetables. I recognize that eating vegetables is healthy. It's a good thing. I do not despise eating vegetables. I eat vegetables all the time. I don't mind it. But I don't really enjoy it. And as all of us know, when you sit down to dinner and you see the vegetables on your plate, you don't go, "Oh wow, look at those vegetables. This is going to be great." No, the things that on your plate that you enjoy, the meat and the dessert and the good stuff, is what you are really passionate about. But the vegetables are just a thing. And for me, practicing medicine was just a thing. My real passion in those early days was for computer technology. I loved computers. I was fascinated by computers, and as I got into the medical profession, I began to look for ways to utilize computers to improve the practice of medicine. I developed a training program for students. I wrote grants. I started using a PDA in the office. Those of you who are too old to have played World of Warcraft growing up probably remember the PDA, the little handheld computer that people could take around with them and do stuff. And so I was very passionate about trying to develop things like that, and that became the most fulfilling aspect of my career. This was the dessert. Practicing medicine, taking care of patients. That was eating the vegetables, and when you finish your vegetables, you get to have dessert. And in my case, dessert was playing with computers. There is a term for that. The term is called medical informatics. Medical informatics is the science of applying technology to the practice of medicine. And so medical informatics was my real passion during those years. But, things were going along pretty well. I was taking care of patients. I was making mom and dad proud. I was, doing work that I considered to be a ministry and hoping that work was pleasing to God. But at the age of 39, my life took a dramatic turn. Actually, just a few weeks before I turned 40, I was on the basketball court and I started experiencing irregular heartbeats. All of a sudden, my heartbeat sped up to 140 beats a minute. And that was pretty scary. And it was the type of thing that this condition, atrial fibrillation, was called paroxysmal atrial fibrillation, which means my heart didn't stay in this rhythm all the time, but it would come and go. And whenever my heart kicked into this abnormal rhythm and the heartbeat, the pulse sped up to 140 beats a minute. And after an hour or so of that going on, I would start to get chest pain and I would get short of breath, and I would just have to sit down and stop everything I was doing and wait for that to resolve within a few hours. I had a surgical procedure performed in 2004 that was unsuccessful. And so following the unsuccessful surgical procedure, I started on a bunch of medications. And finally they found a combination of medications that would control this condition. And the way they controlled this condition was by slowing my heartbeat down to about 30 beats a minute. And that was miserable. I was so tired, and so fatigued by these medications and by my heartbeat being slowed down to that degree. I missed, I wanted to sleep all the time. I was falling asleep at my desk. I put on about 40 pounds while I was on these medications, and I started to experience depression, and it just was a horrible time in my life. Until finally in 2007, I was able to go, by the grace of God and by His blessings. I went to the Cleveland Clinic, and I had another heart procedure performed at the Cleveland Clinic, and this time it was successful. And I got out of the abnormal heart rhythms, and my condition was resolved. So yeah, for a period of 3.5 years, February 2004 to August 2007, I had these health issues. And that period of 3.5 years I like to call the Great Fibrillation. And I got to say, through all this stuff, through this Great Fibrillation and all these health issues and all these issues that I went through, I was very blessed and very grateful to have the full love and the full support of my wife Sharon. Sharon was the greatest gift that God has ever provided to me here on this earth, and she was by my side the whole way. And so 2007 rolls around, I get my heart fixed, I get off of these stupid medications, life is good again. And I came back at full strength. And what I really wanted to do at that point was do something more. I wanted to really engage. I was energized. I wanted to do more stuff and do more with my life and career than just going through the motions. And as I was energized and approaching my career in that way, the opportunities arose. God put opportunities in my path to dive deeper into this world of medical informatics. I was involved in taking a couple of our clinics live on the computerized medical record for the first time. I was able to get some additional training in the field of medical informatics. Again, Sharon very supportive to me. And at this point, with this energy and this new knowledge and this new path forward, I began to consider whether I wanted to pursue a new career path, get out of academic family medicine and get full-time into this field of medical informatics. So I started applying for jobs. I had a great job opportunity in Tampa, and that fell through. I thought I had an opportunity in Kansas City, and that fell through. So I was, beginning to question this whole notion of whether I was going to have the opportunity to move into medical informatics full time, or if I was just going to stay put. And it was really rather perplexing for a period of about 18 months, as I contemplated, in 2008 and 2009, what my future career path would hold. Something happened in 2009 that really brought this state of perplexation, for lack of a better term, to a head when my employer, Wright State University, offered an early retirement incentive. They were trying to cut back on staff. Anybody who had more than 15 years of experience could take an early retirement with a little financial incentive attached to it, and I was qualified to take that with one catch. If you signed the paperwork, if you accepted the early retirement, there was no turning back. I would be giving up on this job in family medicine if I signed the contract for the early retirement. Sharon really encouraged me to pursue that. She knew that this was my passion, and that she wanted me to be fulfilled in my career, and really encouraged me to take this early retirement, even though I didn't have another job lined up. We spent lots of time in prayer. It was a hard decision. The thing I was doing was a ministry. It was pleasing to God. It made my family proud. It checked all the boxes on that idealistic, youthful desire I had to get to where I was at that point in my life. And yet so many signs God sent me. This early retirement, my health condition was resolved. I had energy. I had my health. I had this offer of I was thinking about going to do something else, and my employer was offering me a little bag of money to go do something else. At this point in my life, my oldest son was graduating high school, and so the timing was perfect from a family standpoint. So even without a job lined up, I took the buyout. And I took the buyout as a step of faith, believing that God had something in store for me. And again, for a period of about 9 months, I did not know what I was going to do next. All I knew was that on December 31st of 2009, I would be no longer employed and no longer paid by Wright State University. And back to the drawing board in terms of job offers, and along comes Epic. Epic, the premier electronic health record industry leader in Madison, Wisconsin, offered me a job. And that was a tremendous blessing. And to put the icing on the cake, that was in late 2009, early 2010, just as the housing market was crashing, and our house sold in 2 weeks. So God brought everything together, and my dream was realized. And I was so blessed to have that opportunity. So here's the final slide, a picture of me leaning on the stack of training manuals that I had to complete to get trained up to work for Epic. It took me about 6 months of training to get up to speed. And here I am today fulfilling my dream job, getting to have my dessert after I spent 19 years eating vegetables, and I am blessed by that. So what's the spiritual lesson here that was learned from this? And the spiritual lesson that I would say that God taught me through this was that God gives us passions. Having a passion to do medical informatics is a gift from God. And just because I'm doing things that I think are pleasing to God and things that are making my family proud, and all the motives I had for being where I was, and how virtuous I considered that to be, it wasn't my passion. And God blessed me with a passion to do something different, something unique, something productive and innovative and meaningful. I fully believe that Epic is doing things that are laying the foundation for transforming the whole healthcare system. And it's exciting to be here, and it's a blessing to be here. So that is the lesson I learned, that God gives us our passions. And God blesses us with the opportunity to put our passions to work for the benefit of society and for being a blessing to Him in whatever aspect of a career that God calls us to. So that's what I talked about at the breakfast yesterday, and that's what has been on my heart this week, how blessed I am to be given by God with this passion that I am able to exercise on a daily basis. Next week we will get back into Melchizedek. I've got a very interesting series of ideas about Melchizedek that I'm excited about sharing, but I didn't want to rush it, so I will put that forward next week, God will, and we'll all be back here on the channel. So thanks for tuning in today. That's just a little look at me. And if it's always a blessing to be able to do these videos each week, and I always appreciate the likes and the comments and the feedback from folks in the community who watch these videos. So if you did enjoy this video, please consider giving it a like. That is encouraging me on some level, although I try not to take great pride in reviewing my statistics and how many people like these videos. But also when you like these videos, it promotes this video and videos like this in the YouTube search algorithms of other folks who might be surfing around YouTube looking for inspirational videos like this. If you want to hear more from the channel, you can hit the subscribe key down below. Looks like the little bell. And you will get notified whenever new content is posted to the channel. With that, thank you all once again for tuning in this week. Lord willing, we'll be back next week with a discussion of Psalm 110 and Melchizedek and Jesus Christ. And until that time, God bless you all and go in peace.